Hi, this is Bess. Welcome to How to Make Lemonade. And this refers to this time that we're going through, if life gives you lemons, make lemonade, right? But there's also another recipe that I just heard yesterday where you can actually slice lemons, put them into a teacup, and then add hot water, and it's a remedy to protect, to make, to help you in this, be healthy in this time. So I thought I'd label this, how to make lemons. When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Hello, Shamala, you are number one again. Welcome, follow Shamala, everybody. We're going to be talking about spiritual stuff today, especially looking at this time. This is a kind of a mandatory retreat for everyone right now, right? We're forced to stop back from our busyness and all of the running around and all the schedules and keeping up with the clock and keeping up with everything that we feel that we need to do, all the activities and everything, and yet we're forced to be quiet, be still, be at home, be with ourselves, be with our family, and maybe even be with our spiritual selves, with God. So this, to me, it's kind of scary and unknown, because we don't know what's going to happen with our health, with our finances. We don't know how deep this is going to go or how long this is going to go. So we're in this together, but we're seeing a lot of kindness come up at this time, with people doing wonderful things for each other and donating, and maybe could it be a blessing? Could there be a gift? Could there be a lesson in everything? Because I have experienced that there always is a blessing and a lesson in life. And so Shamala says, alkaline water, universe is the boss. Yeah, I love the t-shirt, God is in charge. Yep. And it's always for our good. It's always for our spiritual good in some way. So I'm going to talk about this today, about how we can take advantage of this time and use this time and make lemonade out of the lemons that we're given, and maybe take a look and upgrade and improve I'm going to talk about 5 areas: health, money, cleaning our house, in many analogies for that, and spiritual time with ourselves, and an opportunity to give. So while I invite people to join us today, first of all, before I do that, my message every weekend, because this is the Ask Bess show. It's here every Saturday and Sunday at noon Eastern time. And this is a time when you can ask me a question. I'll respond to the best of my ability here on the show. You can ask a question below, or you can private message me on Facebook and let it be anonymous, and I respond to the questions here on the show. My message to you is, I know you're going through some things. You matter. I hear you. You're not alone. You're bigger than any problem that is before you. Every problem has a solution that is not far. And I have some tools that I'll share a little bit that help. So I'm going to invite people and just let you know who I am. I'm Bess McCarty, body-mind therapist for over 30 years, holistic health practitioner, minister, mother, grandmother, inner child therapist, Reiki master, minister. Have helped people for over 37 years to live a better life. Health, wealth, love, with their careers, have better health, weight loss, communication, relationships, family, careers they love, how to improve their life, even spiritually. And I got into this work because I needed to heal myself. So over 30 years ago, went to Body Mind College. Was a huge transformation for me, looking at myself at last and being able to change the things that I wanted to change to have a better life. And this became my life work. I actually became a head teacher there for 15 years. I trained other counselors, other body mind therapists there for 15 years. And those became what we now call coaches, personal growth coaches. So I love doing this work. They call me the shrink of MLM because I've helped hundreds and hundreds of network marketers break through their fears and negative beliefs to the life that they know that they deserve and who they really are, and to reach their dreams. So this is my life's work. This is what I love to do. I've developed a system called Real Conversations with Ourselves to uncover the need that's behind every block, the unmet need, often hidden behind every block that we encounter, every problem that we encounter. We find that hidden need, we meet that, and the dysfunction goes away. The compulsion goes away, the addiction goes away. The challenge is the problem that is before us. It's called Real Conversations. Real quick, while I'm inviting people here, you can find that at the Facebook event, Real Conversations class, Facebook event. You can find some free tools there for you to help you with mindset. And if you are watching the replay, please type in replay, because I'd like to thank you for watching. And if you know someone who can benefit from this today, what do we do now? How can we make lemonade out of the lemons that we're given? Love if you tag, share in another personal growth Facebook group, any of that. Okay, so enough inviting. And thank you for any comments, likes, or loves that you may want to leave. So here's a story for you. Rewind, 1665 in London. The Great Plague of London was actually took out a quarter of the population of London. So this was a pandemic, and you may have heard of Sir Isaac Newton, who developed a lot of the scientific theories that we have built upon today. Well, Sir Isaac Newton at that time had to work at home, and he made wise use of the time. So he was in his early 20s when the Great Plague of London hit, and he was not yet a Sir Isaac Newton. He was just a college student in his early 20s at Trinity College in Cambridge in London. And so in 1665, he was sent home to continue his studies the best he could at home, at his parents' home. And this lasted for over a year that he was at home, and apparently without his professors, he thrived. What he did is he continued working on the math problems that he'd begun at school, and out of those papers became early calculus. And then he got a hold of a few prisms, and he started experimenting with it. He put them in his room, and he drilled a little hole in his shutters, and he did experiments with prisms, and that became his theory on optics. And then there's an apple tree outside his window, and one day he was sitting on it, and this apple bonked him on the head. And all of a sudden, he understood the theory of gravity and motion and developed that theory. So what he did is, over a year later, he returned to Cambridge with all of his theories in hand. And 6 months later, they made him a fellow, and 2 years later, they made him a professor. So what he did is he mused and he experimented in this unstructured environment. I like that a lot, because I think that I can do the same thing, that life is giving me these lemons right now, and maybe something wonderful will happen. I want to make movies for people, inspirational movies for people, and develop new ways of teaching to help people learn faster and easier and better. So I when life is so darn busy and we are running around, we maybe can't take time for the spiritual time for our families and everything. I know someone who, welcome Elizabeth, how are you? Glad to see, welcome, and welcome everybody here. If you're here, please leave a hey, a hello, so I know that you're here. So some people are actually relieved. I know someone is a mother of 4, and she said, I'm actually relieved, honestly, I'm relieved that I don't have to run around to all the summer games and practices and everything this summer with her 4 kids. And so is it time? The world is on pause. The world's on this mandatory retreat. Is it time to take a little step aside from all that busyness and perhaps get in touch with God, ourselves, our families? So the 5 areas I wanted to talk about that we could maybe look at and find the lesson and the gift here and upgrade is our health, our money, our house, including our internal house and our affairs and everything, and our spiritual selves and our service. And welcome, Kochi. Keep on inspiring. Yes, we all need to inspire each other this time. We're all in this, right? Okay, so what about if we take a look at our health? Could this be a message to us? Could this be a message from the universe from life, a gift, to be able to take a look at our health at this time. I learned, about 15 years ago, that science discovered that viruses eat up toxins in the body. They're scavengers and they feed on toxins in the body, cleaning them up. And science even developed an injection to give people with cancer to eat up the cancer, eat up the tumors. And for many people, this saved lives. They didn't like having the flu and flu and a cold when the virus is injected in them, but it saved their lives for many people. And I have a best friend from high school who went through this therapy. So the virus actually saved a lot of lives by eating up the toxins that were there. So I learned to take a look at my internal environment, not to control so much the external and say, I wish there was no viruses out here. Was it Jim Rohn or somebody said, instead of wishing life was better, wish you were better? And it's the same thing with health. That in my viewpoint, instead of wishing that there was no virus in the environment, wish that my internal immunity was better, that my internal housekeeping was better, that I don't live in a toxic house in my own body. And my body is my house, my temple to live in, that it's not toxic. So when we take a look at our habits, which are the average habits in America, maybe other places, the average habits, a lot of people smoke. It is smoking, drinking, eating white flour, eating white sugar, eating fried foods, eating foods full of pesticides, preservatives, chemicals, genetically modified organisms, GMOs. Are these things giving us a good immune system, or are they working against it? It's so much easier to look outside of us and for to blame a disease rather than inside of us. Is our internal house clean? Are there toxins there that we're worried about the virus coming and getting us, when it's maybe our self-responsibility to keep our internal environment clean? In much of Europe, GMOs are banned. They know the health implications of them. But in the U.S., we just ignorantly ignore that. The restaurants are full of GMO food, the grocery stores are. So you have to really search to find good organic foods, non-GMO, that are not tainted with all the chemicals. But to me, it's worth it. It feels better to know that I'm in charge of my health and not at the whim of the external virus, some snake and bat virus that has now touched just about everyone in the world. That I can be okay because I took responsibility earlier and watched out for my immunity, watched out for my health, kept that healthy. It keeps me young too. But it isn't too late. It's not too late. This can just be a lesson, a way to look and see, what can I upgrade, what can I improve in my life. So welcome India, welcome Tina, and welcome Janice. Staying strong. Yes. So many of my friends and clients and students are network marketers who sell health products, and these greatly help keep the health up as well. So does the eating. So does the good eating. Just a couple tips about eating is I like to replace any sugar with raw honey. Tastes just as good. And I replace white sugar with whole foods, whole grains. But mostly I'll eat meats and vegetables and vegetable juices, all organic, all grass-fed, no hormones, no shots, no GMO corn fed to the cows, which can hardly digest them anyway. They're not made to eat corn, they're made to eat grass and hay. So I find sources for this organic foods for almost 30 years now. I've been eating like this. I grew up on a farm in Kansas. My dad used the latest pesticides and things like that were out at that time to get a better yield. He died of cancer at age 37. I believe from spraying the the cows and then the crops from with all these chemicals. And I got a lot in my system, which I had to clean out with the good foods and diet. So enough of all that. But here's 3 rules that could be simple. No white flour. This is how I raised my son. No white flour, no white sugar, and no bad oils, like no pasteurized dairy, use raw, and no fried foods, unless you use a really good oil like coconut oil or olive oil, which can sustain the high heat. But otherwise, the bad oils, the white flour, the white sugar, those are the 3 rules that I had for my son, and he never had a cold or flu growing up. And he could play with sick kids. I said, go play with them. You're healthy, right? You're not going to get it. And he never got anything from another kid. He played with a lot of sick kids. It didn't matter, he was probably the only one they could play with. Because we took responsibility for our internal environments. Hey, Jenny, welcome. Glad to see everybody. Who has a question, a thought, a tip? Who has a friend that they might like to tag to maybe hear this information? We're talking about how to take lemons and make lemonade, how to use and embrace the gift and the lesson that is in all this stuff. And we're talking about health, wealth, house cleaning, spiritual life, and service. Those are the 5 areas I'm taking a look at that I think this is a gift at this time. It's like, yay, this is really hard and scary what's happening, but there's a gift to it. There's a purpose, spiritual purpose to it, and why not embrace it? Why not use this time like Sir Isaac Newton did, the story that I told earlier? Okay, let's take a look at money. What can we look at and upgrade as far as our money habits, our nation as a whole, or perhaps the world as a whole? Who has saved for a rainy day? Who has acted like it would always be summer? Okay, I'm fine now. I don't need to save for a rainy day. I don't need to save for a downturn in the economy. I don't need to save for older age. I'm just going to live day to day here. And we find out that wasn't such a good idea. The farm that I grew up on, we realized that, yes, we had fruits and vegetables in the summer in the garden. But we had to store potatoes and other carrots and other vegetables in the cellar to stay good over the winter, so we'd have something to eat over the winter, because the winter does not produce, right? And that's the rainy day. That's the winter that we're in right now, whenever there's an economic downturn, which some people have seen about every 10 years, that there's something hits the economy. And have we prepared for that? Or have we just, had our blinders on and just live in the moment, just live day to day and paycheck to paycheck? Because most people have not saved. Much of the world has overspent or even gotten into debt, and that includes government and organizations and individuals. This seems to be our way of life. Could this be the universe's way of telling us that's not a wise thing to do? Everything goes in cycles. Well, now it might be easier to cut back on spending or even to save, because we can't travel, go to entertainment, eat out. So this might be the time to learn this lesson and apply it to the future and teach this to our kids. Okay, so the 3rd area was cleaning house. Personally, I had 3 trips canceled. One was to see my granddaughter in San Diego, and one was a spiritual seminar, which is dear to me, and one was a business seminar, which is also dear to me. So 3 trips canceled, but now the first thing that came to my mind was, gosh, now I have time to get to these piles of paperwork that have been piling up. I have piles of them, and they've been weighing on my mind. And my first thought was, okay, now I have the time to do this. If I don't waste it, waste it getting obsessed on the news, or waste it on YouTube too much, or Netflix too much. I'd put off these things because I was busy, or something seemed more important, or something seemed a lot more fun than that. A lot more exciting. Oh, that can wait. Let me do this today. But now, they kind of weighed on me and worked on me, and now I'm determined not to waste that time, but to take care of those things. First get my taxes done, and then get the other piles of paperwork and all the backlog of my huge to-do list that needs to be done, and clear those out. Okay, the 4th area I'd like to look at, can we learn something? Can we improve this? Can we upgrade? And that is our spiritual life. To me, a retreat, this mandatory retreat, this isolation, thank you for the likes and loves. I really appreciate that. And welcome, Karen, and welcome, Sue. Glad to see everybody. So I'm talking about the gift that's in this time, this mandatory retreat, this mandatory isolation. to me, it is a bit of a breath of fresh air from all the running around and all the craziness and all the travel that I was planning to do, major trip every month here. And so what I did this morning is I read and I journaled about things that came up that I read about. Actually, I took a good hard look at myself, and I saw some things that I could work on in myself and some things that I can improve. So I journaled about those, and how can I, honestly look at this within myself and change this within myself. Could I have done that if I was always crazy busy running, thinking of the details of travel and getting here and there and all the things that I do to help people as a network marketing coach and a coach and a counselor for people's health and relationships and careers? And I'm marketing myself all the time. Can I do that when I'm always crazy busy? So this is a wonderful time to get in touch with me, my spiritual life, and still help people. I'm still busier than ever online helping people, but I'm making time to do this because it's important. The spiritual time. A lot of people are making time for their families, playing with them. Yesterday I left on my Ask Bess live show. Yesterday I left a whole bunch of tips about cool things that you can do at home with kids, ways to keep them occupied and have fun with them and bond with them, and things they just love to do. So how do you manage the kids? How do you work at home with the kids? And I left tips about that. So thank you for the likes and loves. I appreciate that. And if you know someone who could benefit from hearing this, maybe they'd like if you tag them or share it in a Facebook group, especially about this time, what to do at this time and how to deal with it. Okay, so the fifth area is service area. And this is, can we upgrade our service? Can we look around? And if we're bored, feel stagnant in our isolation, can we look to our neighborhood? Can we organize a a Facebook group or a Zoom for the neighborhood where some people are doing this, to look out for each other, seeing how they can be of service to each other, drop something off, run an errand. Some people are putting out flyers with their phone number that if people are lonely and stuck at home or isolated, that they can call and talk. Some people are donating things. Some organizations are donating free services, goods for people at this time. Won't that feel good inside if we're feeling stagnant or bored or scared? I like to turn fear into service because I think there's either fear or love, right? It's a choice, fear or love. And if I'm in fear, I say, okay, let me see how I can serve, because that opens my heart to love right away. So that keeps me out of the fear and the obsession with the news and all of that, into service. It was Mr. Rogers said when he was a child and he was scared about stuff happening on the news, and his mother said, just look for the helpers. You'll always find the helpers. And of course he became one. Right? So that's another thing, is can we be a helper? Can we find the helpers? Can we be a helper? So that is what I have to share today. Who else has some tips to share, some comments or a question? Please leave them below or even continue. Now, if you'd like my free tools to upgrade mindset, to stay in the positive, to let go of fears and negative beliefs, it's called Real Conversations. And as I explained, it simply finds the need underneath it. A lot of times that need is a spiritual connection, or to be of service, or to validate our own lovability and worth, to validate that life is good, life is friendly, life is beneficial, the world is friendly. Most of the people out there are helping right now, aren't they? Or to validate or to realize that life does not bring a problem without a solution near at hand. Life does not bring a problem that does not have a solution. When we really realize that, the fear goes away. I help people to work these things out with my mindset tool called Real Conversations with Ourselves. And you can get a free copy of these tools, which is an audio, a chart, and email lessons, all free for you, a gift. The easiest way to find it is the Facebook event, Real Conversations class. And that is, there's a link there where you can get these tools. Facebook event, Real Conversations class, and I'll post the link too. So you are welcome to these, and welcome to private message me. If you like any spiritual tools that I use, be glad to share them with you. Private message me for that. Or if you want some private coaching and counseling to deal with issues that are flushing up in your life, please private message me about that as well. So I'm here every Saturday and Sunday at noon Eastern Time for the Ask Bess show. Let's keep the conversation going below. I'm here for you. We're in this together. Let's make lemonade. Take care, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.